because we've been using AI for about a year now. Like, I looked at my
Yeah.
Claude chat
Yeah.
history and I was like, okay, so I was playing around with it in 2023, but I really started using it in 2024. And now in 2025, we're here. We've already seen widespread impact. You know, the government, they're firing everybody. Like,
The
just,
government fired everybody. Then you had, they said between the year 2023 and 2025, 30% of the workforce in tech was let go. Microsoft let go of 6,000 people last week. There are also the stories that are opposite of that, where like Duolingo, for example, right, went in and flipped and is now hiring all the humans back. So there are these
Klarna
massive
too. And Klarna was supposed to be an AI first
Klarna.
company. Yeah.
Yeah, the pendulum is swinging quickly. I think the Doge cuts and the tariffs are also adding in the uncertainty and kind of like rushed, maybe not completely thought through changes,
Well,
that companies are
yeah.
making. But
Like
you
you
know that
can't
you and I are like, we're like OGs in the AI space, even from just having this 1 year of like
yeah.
actively collaborating and building, project knowledge with
Yeah.
AI. And like you and I, like when people talk to me, I'm like, y'all don't even know how to use the shit.
No,
Like you don't,
and
yeah, y'all
people
don't even
are
know how
going
to.
to classes to like figure out how to prompt. I'm like, you just
Yes.
say what you need. Why do we need to
Yes.
go to classes? But like a lot of people don't know what they want and don't know how to ask for it in a way that will get the results that they want, which is why people like it takes so long to prompt engineer. And that's wild to me, but because we've been using the technology, we've just been inferring it, and the technology teaches you how to use it too, because I will
It
sit there
does.
and ask Claude, I'm like, okay, what for my use cases as a UX designer, what can you actually help me with? I was talking to Gemini earlier this week about the same shit, and Gemini was like, you can iterate and this and this and this. I'm like, oh, so you can just do my job because you can think of the product design.
So let
What?
me talk to you
But
about a dev, not really a use case, but just a journey that I had. So I was working on a schema plugin for FAQs in WordPress, which is written with PHP, a couple of small PHP files and CSS for the most part, a little bit of JavaScript, but it's mostly PHP. You're communicating back and forth with the database to fetch the question and answer, right? And filling out these fields. As I created it, I realized, you know what? All of the different aspects of this website that I'm optimizing, so like locations, events, so events encompasses like live events, webcasts, podcasts, right? Like all of these really are part of the storytelling for the organization. And so, damn, I was thinking small. So I solution this one plugin, but ultimately I should be looking at kind of like the ecosystem of what I'm creating. So I ended up communicating with Claude, and I basically was like, can you give me the development roadmap, right? With my bigger idea. And then, give me a list of like what I need for an MVP, right? And like what version should I iterate on for this plugin? And Claude mapped that out for me. And so like every couple weeks I'll go back and like hit another benchmark, right? As we're like as I'm like building this larger ecosystem that's like SEO optimized and also like has the schemas not only for like for search, like for Google and for Bing, but also for AI. What I'm finding now, like the sites that I'm doing SEO or auditing or whatever, like Perplexity and ChatGPT are sending me traffic. And so I'm optimizing the content for Gemini and ChatGPT and for Perplexity because I know that it's pulling the schema. But it was just wild that I was able to go to Claude and say, "Hey, I'm thinking small, right? Can you just give me the full roadmap of like, what are the iterations I need to take?" And then we'll work on them like bite size because that's the only way to stop yourself from dealing with a lot of bugs when you're writing code is to just write bite size scripts with like small functions and like putting them all together. I feel like such an advanced prompt engineer from using Claude so comfortably And
Good.
I think a lot of that had to do with Claude not being online for a while.
You use
I
Claude
think
more than I do. I think you
because I use it because I've empowered teams to use it. So it's like, yeah, I use it from my own, like it extends my brain, right? It retains and captures my knowledge base and then helps me to kind of like magnify the projects that I'm doing. And there's like, I think I have something like 20 different projects in Claude right now, but everybody who I'm collaborating with, I'm setting up their project knowledge, their brand voice, and then like, when you go to create a brand new project with Claude, it asks you, like, what are you trying to accomplish? See what the actual question is. I will share this with the group. It asks you what you're working on, and then it says, what are you trying to achieve, right? And so naming what I'm working on is always a goal. And then describing what I'm trying to achieve is usually numbered and bulleted. So it's like the hierarching goal, the list of the documents that I'm going to be setting as the baseline, which would be like if you were working on on machine learning, that would be your data set, right? So I'm actually creating all the PDFs and the CSVs and all that. I list the names of those things right in what I'm trying to achieve. And then I say, leverage this, leverage that, lean into this, lean into that. And so just like when I create the project, before I even have my first chat, I have created like a foundation with a brain space that's like ready to handle the chats and give you what you need with minimal back and forth. That's my goal.
Is so nice because you've created these things, and I think for each tool it's a little slightly different. So like with Claude, it's called project knowledge. With Gemini, they're called gems.
I don't even use Google as a search engine.
So
I'm disconnected.
For work because it's the only one that I'm allowed. To use for work. So
you said they're called gems. Ooh, explore gems.
Yeah.
Very cool. I need to try them all. I need to try them all and understand how they're nuanced.
Right, because DeepSeek's good for certain things. ChatGPT is good for certain things. And it's really interesting because I don't think enough people realize how different they are. But like Claude completely, like when you talk about from a trust and safety standpoint, one of the talks I was talking about recently is like a third of their business or more should be trust and safety because we are running a massive experiment on all of humanity right now. And not enough people are thinking about trust and safety. And we already had this problem when we disrupted and did social media. And originally it's cool, it's working, people are connecting. And now it's divisive and you have a lot of people that are split over like race and white nationalism and all this stuff. And it's because they all got connected on social media. And
radicalized.
Right, and radicalized and just completely went off the deep end. And with AI, it's like, well, we are inventing a new technology and we have a chance to focus on trust and safety from the start. Oh, you just want to post your resources and building the thing because it's easier to build the thing and then ask questions and forgiveness later. Oh,
interesting. So Perplexity, it's threads and spaces, and Perplexity won't even let me play without signing in.
And Perplexity is just a wrapper.
Gemini, I'm already logged into. Perplexity is a wrapper for what?
Perplexity is a wrapper for Claude and ChatGPT, I think.
Nice.
It's just an API wrapper, and so I don't really know how their business model is going to take off because it's just a wrap. Like, I don't understand how most of these AI companies are working because they're all just chat APIs.
Correct.
Like, you're not
and
making
that
your own. And there's open source out there. You could just use DeepSeek code.
I can tell you, I can actually tell you why, and that's because all of the data sets that go into machine learning already all of the information that exists on the internet is already into the foundational models. It already exists there.
Yeah.
They had already finished uploading the entire collective consciousness onto servers.
Yeah.
So
And
you're,
they
if
do that each iteration. So like every time it's like
correct.
3.5, 3.7, 3. It's new training data.
So correct. So they're adding new training data, and they're fine tuning the training data and adjusting the inferences with that data. But the basic foundational model of like human intelligence has already exists. And so each of the labs they come to the creation process with their own set of ethics, their own vibe, their own personalities, if you will. And so that is the differentiator. In the studies that I'm doing with AWS, it's the same thing. You select the model that you're working with, you set up Bedrock, you can plug into multiple APIs. So you can plug into Claude and ChatGPT, you bring them all in, you fine tune them, and then you create whatever the knowledge base is going to be to answer, right, the questions, and you continue to feed the data sets and train. So
And
more than likely
data sets from the AWS store to put into your AI, right?
I don't think so. So AWS do not retain the data that you communicate back and forth with the machine learning. So
I'm talking about like the data marketplace where you can go and buy data sets like 600,000, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I'm
you
talking
mean
about?
tokens? I don't know about that. I don't know about data sets in the market. I would have to do some research on that.
Yeah, so I was like searching the other day because I was like, okay, if I wanted to train my own AI model, where would I buy data to train it? And AWS has this whole shopping. So what people don't realize when they're talking about boycott Amazon, Amazon owns the internet.
AWS public data sets.
Yeah.
AWS data exchange. I literally I've already completed the coursework in my machine learning class, and this never came up once.
Oh.
Open data on AWS.
I was just bored scrolling the data marketplace the other day because I was just curious. I was like, AWS where do we get all of our data? Exchange. Amazon's just the biggest data broker. So basically what Correct. This means, if you're watching and you're non-technical, most people to host their websites host it through like Amazon's data. Like if it's stored in the cloud, people buy space on Amazon servers. So Amazon's business model is actually so much more internet and so much less the physical shopping. That's just the storefront. But what they
and a data collector and a data collector. The storefront is a data collector. They know everything about human beings. You have all of our financial data. You know where I live. You have Alexa. You know what we buy. You know what we search for, right? And then every single website that we visit is hosted on AWS. Every app. Yeah.
Yeah, so even if you're boycotting Amazon from like a buyer perspective, you think like shipping stuff to your house is like bad for the environment, like more power to you. Every website you've ever used probably uses AWS, and if they don't use AWS, they use Webflow, and Webflow probably uses AWS. Like,
yeah.
It's just like that chain, and no matter how far back in the food chain you go, it's just AWS just there, just like, hey, we host the internet.